I will look at the medication and say, hey, but aren't you taking your medication? Right? And are you still feeling pain? Are you the prescription says to take it 4 times a day, right? And you're taking it 4 times a day and you're still inflamed? You still have pain? Or with high blood pressure, I would see patients coming back month after month, getting the same prescription month after month, and there was still no change. We still had swollen feet. Okay, our blood pressure wasn't getting any better. In some cases, it was getting stable, right? In some cases, but in some cases, it was not. It was getting worse, and we saw increasing of dosage. We saw even addition of medications, or we saw changing of medications. And deep down, I just heard God talking to me. There has to be a better way. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monique Diltz podcast. I am so excited to bring you this power-packed show, this power-packed podcast that is about all things healing. Healing. God has given us everything that we need to heal, from our food, from the fruits, from the vegetables, from the leaves, to the herbs, okay, to the spices. Everything that God has laid out on this earth can be used for something to heal our bodies. And the mission of this podcast is to bring you this information so that we can heal. We can heal, and we don't have to rely on anybody else but God. Amen. So I am Monique Diltz, Dr. Monique Diltz, pharmacist by profession. I did go to the University of Florida College of Pharmacy, go Gators, where I obtained a doctorate in pharmacy in the year 2008. And on my journey, I was always passionate about helping others, helping them live healthier lives. And I wanted people to have better lives by, taking their medications properly. I've always wanted to learn about medications, how to use them. I always had a knack for chemistry and science and just health. I was always that health girl. Making smoothies, eating fruits. My parents brought me up in that because they were heavy juicers. My mom was always making carrot and beet juice, and my dad was always juicing parsley and beets and even turnips one time. Which I didn't like, by the way, but they laid the foundation of eating fruits. I would have fruits every morning. My mom always prepared fruits every morning for us to have, which I still continue to this day. All right, especially with our kids. And my dad was always wanting a green juice every day, and that is something that I incorporate today as well. So it is in me to have these alive foods, and what they have done for me up until now, being in my 40s, has been tremendous. And the only thing that I can do is share. God would not allow me to keep this healing to myself. So being a pharmacist, I always had a passion to go deeper. I always heard God say, go deeper, deeper. There is real healing, right? So when people would come to me and say, hey, Dr. Monique, I'm really having problems with inflammation. My knees are feeling tired and weak. I'm having so much pain. And I will look at the medication and say, hey, but aren't you taking your medication? Right? And are you still feeling pain? Are you the prescription says to take it 4 times a day, right? and you're taking it 4 times a day and you're still inflamed, you still have pain. Or with high blood pressure, I would see patients coming back month after month, getting the same prescription month after month, and there was still no change. We still had swollen feet. Okay, our blood pressure wasn't getting any better. In some cases, it was getting stable, right? In some cases, but in some cases, it was not. It was getting worse, and we saw increasing of dosage. We saw even addition of medications, or we saw changing of medications. And deep down, I just heard God talking to me. There has to be a better way. Let's go back to the source of it all, right? Let's go back to the food. God said, let's go back to the food. So God was tugging at my heart. And it wasn't until we had our firstborn son that I heard the call of God even loud. And because he was born with complications that required him to have surgery, I ended up saying, okay, God, I will pull away. And it was in that pull away that led to everything else. So I really want to get into who I am and my journey so that you can understand why I'm so passionate about the healing that I'm going to bring to you. So after he was born and I pulled away from the traditional pharmacy space, we had our second son, and our second son was allergic to dairy. Every time I would breastfeed him, he would break out. And I just didn't understand until I said, okay, we got to pull away from the dairy. I wasn't drinking milk. I was doing plant-based milk. I was always doing plant-based milk, but I was still doing butter. I was still doing cheese. I was still doing products that could have had dairy in there, unbeknownst to me. So I had to intentionally make the decision to pull away from dairy products. And once I did that, his skin started clearing up. So wow, right? Healing, right? Just from pulling away from dairy. And that led to what? Pulling away from dairy, pulling away from animal products entirely. God was talking to me and was like, Monique, this is not it. You're not going to stop there. You're going to pull away from it all. And I'm trying to remember the year. It was when my daughter was 3 months in my belly. I was 3 months pregnant with her. And it was July of 2021 that God said, Monique, it's time. And I could not eat July 4th. All right. We're supposed to be barbecuing, right? We're supposed to be having a burger, right, on the grill. My husband was grilling, and he grills good. All right. My husband grills good. And it was so hard to deny that burger. It was on a pretzel bun. It had all the trimmings. It had everything that you could think of, because you know he gonna get all the things. Okay, that's my husband for you. And man, when I tell you that burger looked so good, but I couldn't eat it, y'all. I couldn't do it. I actually took the patty off, and then I ate it like that. And I think there might have been a mushroom cap on it, because I love mushrooms, even, regardless. And my husband loves to grill those for me too. And I had it like that. And you know what? I enjoyed it. I did. And that was the moment for me when I became full-fledged, 100% plant-based, and got to witness the healing in myself. And then further down the line, witness the healing in my husband. So I'm gonna get to that, but this was my personal experience with food and my journey to healing with food. And because of this is why I got to share with you. So further down the line, my husband was on blood pressure medication, taking 2 medications. All right, he was taking a calcium channel blocker, and he was also taking a diuretic. So a diuretic alleviates your body from excess water. And because of that, that is supposed to help bring down your blood pressure levels. And it just was not happening. He was on it for over a decade, guys. Over a decade on 2 blood pressure medications. We saw the dosage change. We saw the dosage go up. We saw the drug class change over the years. We still saw the feet swelling. All right. And then the catalyst was when he was having problems as well with the blood sugar. And the A1C was looking really high, the fasting blood glucose as well. And then he ended up getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And at the time, he just turned 40. Can you imagine being 40 years old and getting hit with a type 2 diabetes diagnosis at 40? 40 is young, all right? 40 is very young. So to have high blood pressure and to have issues with blood sugar at that age, it's just like, okay, we got to do something, right? Again, God was saying, Monique, let's go back to the food, right? So presenting to my husband, hey, God has had me on this journey. All right, we had to pull back from dairy. First of all, stepped away from the traditional pharmacy career, right, to take care of our firstborn, who was born with complications. Second son came in allergic to dairy. Had to pull off of the dairy products to eventually pulling off of animal-based products, right? Then husband gets diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and here we have to go back to the food. So yes, I was on a journey, right? Plant-based, being vegan, but I didn't know the power of food until we did the raw vegan journey. All right. And when I say raw vegan, I'm meaning whole foods, plant-based, nothing but fruits and vegetables. All right. And we did that. We did that for 6 weeks straight. And we just had to continue going because the results were immediate. All right. Immediate results. We saw blood pressure levels dropping down within the first week. All right. Blood pressure levels dropping down in the first week of just eating fruits and vegetables. That is absolutely mind blowing to me. So once we saw that, we were like, yo, what else can we fix? Right? What else is going to be healed? What else are we going to see on this journey? And lo and behold, over time, week after week, we saw the blood sugar numbers getting better and better and better. Swelling was gone. All right. Inflammation was gone. Sometimes your face is looking puffy. And you don't understand why your face is looking puffy, right? Your arms looking puffy, your legs looking puffy, right? Your knees, right? You sit down for a few minutes, and when you get up, you can't even walk, right? Inflammation. And a simple switch, right? Or just adding more of the fruits and vegetables into your diet can be all the difference in healing. That is why I am here for this podcast, to share the healing message of God through food with you. All right. And we saw an incredible healing journey of my husband, from going from 2 blood pressure medications. And after 2.5 months from January to the middle of March, we were able to remove both of those blood pressure medications. Glory and hallelujah. We thank God and we give God the glory for this, because we got to witness the healing power of the food that he has given us. And not only with that, a few months down the line, all right, we're talking about maybe about July. That's when he went back to the doctor, did the lab work, and guess what? His lab work showed that he did not have diabetes. Okay. Fasting blood glucose was in place. A1C was where it needed to be, normal. And this was after the course of 7 months. 7 months of eating whole foods, plant-based, healed high blood pressure, and it also healed diabetes. So this is my personal experience. This is my journey with healing from food. For my personal experience as well, I was able to lose weight, the weight that I had gained having 3 kids back to back. I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I also reduced my inflammation. I no longer had menstrual pain, menstrual cramps. A lot of the swelling that I was having was released as well. So that's my personal journey. What I got to see, even from my parents, my mom right now, she's able to manage her blood pressure just by using herbs and by using, she has her own mixture that she makes, right? My dad is currently a dialysis patient, but he is experiencing so many benefits by having the fruits and the vegetables. He does have to watch the potassium levels, but he has seen a tremendous amount of healing and on his journey. All right. So we've seen it from our family. We've seen it from the generations before us. We've seen it from the clients that we've been able to work with. And now you guys are going to see it too, because I'm going to bring it to you. So this is my passion. My passion is to share fruits, the healing of fruits, the healing of vegetables, the healing of leaves. All right. What leaves can you use for high blood pressure? What leaves can you use for blood sugar? Right? What leaves can you use to help with your cholesterol levels, to help with your liver, to help cleanse your liver, to help you with inflammation? These are the things that we're going to be discussing on this podcast. So the Bible tells us a lot about using leaves, okay? Using herbs, all right? Behold, I give you every herb bearing seed, right? In Revelation 22:22, towards the end of the verse, the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations, right? So we have to utilize these leaves. The thing is, we're not aware a lot of the healing that is around us, right? We walk outside and we look at trees, even the fruit trees, right? But we don't even realize that the fruit that's coming off of it, right, is beneficial for us, but the leaves are sometimes even more beneficial for us. So in Ezekiel 47:12, when it says the fruit will serve for food and the leaves for the healing, this is a verse that I love to refer to, because we have the food in our hands, but we also have the healing in our hands, and the healing is in the leaves. So what can we expect from this channel, from this podcast? How can we be holistically well? How can we take care of our bodies? How can we live optimally? How can we heal ourselves? How can we not be so dependent on others to heal us? How can we be dependent on God, amen, for our healing? Number 1, how can we utilize what has been given to us to heal our bodies, right? So just the knowledge of fruits, the knowledge of vegetables, the knowledge of leaves, herbs, spices, the things that we can use. I don't know everything, but I promise you, whatever it is I do know, I am going to share, especially the things that I have personal experience with and seen personally used and have seen the healing with my own eyes. All right. Because I know that if it can happen for 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 10 people to 100 people, it can happen for you. It is not just exclusively for one person or one set of people. It is for all people. All right. God put everything here for us to utilize for our bodies to heal. We just don't know how to use it. So knowledge is power, and that is what this podcast is all about. So throughout my journey, God was speaking to me, and I did have an encounter with God. I remember being in my prayer closet and talking to God, and God said, Monique, this is what I want you to do. I want you to bring people to me through the food. I'm like, bring people to you through the food? I want people to come to me through the food. Food, my friends, is holding us back. It really is. The enemy wants us to be sluggish. The enemy wants us to be tired. The enemy wants us to be inflamed. The enemy wants us to be distracted. The enemy wants us to be in a constant state of oblivion so that we don't hear the voice of God. And when you're in a constant state of digestion, your body is using a tremendous amount of energy, just to process the food that unfortunately your body is not able to have the time to heal, to perform the healing mechanisms that it otherwise could if it wasn't constantly digesting food. And we have to understand the relationship that we have with food is literally adjacent to the relationship that we have with God. And once you have a better relationship with food, yes, your relationship with God most definitely can and will improve. And I'm going to tell you why. Fasting. When you go into a fasted state, okay, I know when I go into a fasted state, when I'm not bringing food into my body, I'm just bringing in maybe water, right? I am able to hear the voice of God so much clearer. There is so much mental clarity. There is so much energy. There's so much strength. And I can feel just the healing power of just being able to say no, right? And when you are able to develop that power, right, to say no, right, to something that your body may crave, right, because we are addicted to sugar, we are addicted to salt, we are addicted to oil, whatever the addictions are in our lives, addicted to snacking even, whatever those addictions are, and you're able to say no. You're able to say no for 12 hours. You're able to say no for 24 hours, 48, 72, whatever the case is. You get stronger in the spirit because it's not the flesh, all right, that is taking you through that fast. It's not your flesh. It is the spirit. It is the spirit of God inside of you. And you get strong and your relationship with God grows that much stronger. You realize that you can do something even more so in that fasted state. So bringing people to God through their relationship with food is absolutely 1,000% the mission, and so important to me because I know that there is healing on the other side of that. Right? Once you're able to really, really break down your relationship with food and realize the addictions that are holding you back, the addictions that the enemy is keeping you in that state of mind because of the certain snacks you're eating or whatever the case may be. Once you're able to get past that, there's a whole nother side of healing over there waiting for you. Let's do this together, y'all. Let's attack, all right, the enemy, okay, with our relationship with food. We can change our relationship with food. And once we do that, guys, when I tell you, you're going to be so much stronger with God. You're going to be so much stronger in your flesh because you're going to be so much stronger in your spirit. All right. You're going to be able to walk better. You're going to be able to talk better. You're going to be able to think better. You're going to be able to walk with God simply because your mind is clearer. So I want to bring that to you on this podcast. I want to bring that to you in these next few episodes. Let's heal together.